right, thank you. Yeah, that was a sponsor, our community sponsor, uswap.xyz. Alex and Edo, people know in the community. So thanks for supporting. This session is a great one for me. Actually, it started from last HandyCon. We are Bo and I are part of partners in a new foundation starting. We're calling it the spiritual successor of Purse.io. I think a lot of you know Purse.io was restructured, and Loadpipe and what Bo will be sharing as our CTO and co-founder of the foundation, Loadpipe Foundation, will be sharing you a bit about it. And we're also, of course, very supportive of Handshake and Handshake names in this as well. But without further ado, we have a short session. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to cover. I'm going to pass it to Bo to share.
Yeah, hey everyone. Also, yeah, I hope you don't mind me like sort of lounging seductively while I give this talk. I'm in what is functionally a prison in London. So anyway, like let's go into a conference tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit about Loadpipe, the future of blockchain e-commerce. One thing we all know, Amazon sucks. And maybe it doesn't suck for you if you're a consumer because like one day shipping is kind of nice, but it sucks especially for vendors, and it is increasingly sucky for vendors. Why? Because of things like predatory pricing. So there's a very famous example of Amazon's losing $100 million in order to drive a competitor, Diapers.com, out of business because they wouldn't sell to Amazon. And this is not a one-off thing. Amazon does this to vendors all the time by cornering portions of the market and remaining unprofitable longer than their competitors can remain solvent. They also have an opaque TOS. They give arbitrary bans out. When you sign up for Amazon, have to agree to their terms of service, which nobody ever reads. And then they can close your account indiscriminately, often with no recourse. And you know, it's not just a problem with Amazon, it's a problem with centralization in general. So we can see this in Facebook and Instagram, you know, Twitter to some degree, X, I suppose. But we have to beg for our profiles back when they decide that we violated some rule that we didn't know existed. And so whether you're a buyer or a seller within these centralized platforms, it doesn't matter. You are the product, right? You are the thing, the data that's being sold. And this is a known problem, especially I'm preaching to the choir here, I'm sure, in this session. But yeah, the emperor cannot be consulted in these centralized platforms because they have total control and power. So when we're talking about the e-commerce marketplace or the e-commerce landscape, there are a couple of like emergent markets, some of them less emergent than others, but they're all centralized and siloed. You have a profile, you have product data, everything is controlled by those sort of central siloed zones of sovereignty. And this is sort of the problem. It's about power. They have all the power in these platforms, and you have, as a user, none of the power. They own your data, they own your profile, they own you. Because it doesn't matter if you're a buyer or seller, you're the product. And so what we're trying to accomplish in building the Loadpipe protocol as well as Hamza Marketplace is to take our online sovereignty back, social sovereignty back, and specifically our data sovereignty back within the e-commerce marketplace. But how? Well, we simply build a new Amazon. And that might sound trivial to you, like, wow, super easy. Let's just build a new Amazon. But let's think for a second about what makes an Amazon. And I'm obviously oversimplifying and taking a lot of the context away. But what they operate from a business perspective is a multi-vendor marketplace, which is a website that has product catalogs, has business logic, and has a user interface. They have a dispute resolution system, which we also talked about, is a little bit opaque and centrally controlled. And they have a corporation that extracts profit from this website as well as directs profits or directs funds and revenue towards business operations to continue operating their multi-vendor marketplace. So what are we building in Hamza? First, we're building a multi-vendor marketplace. It's crypto native, it's multi-vendor support, and at least at first will be centrally curated. And so this is a bit of a look behind the curtain as what it'll look like. This should actually be up on our test site, hamza.oem6.com, if you want to visit it by Friday. because we're entering some things in a hackathon, so we'll need to be actually posting it up. But our timeline, which I'll get to a little bit later, is looking a little bit more like May. But first, you have to operate a multi-vendor marketplace. Okay, well, we accept crypto payments. There's nothing super crypto about it, or nothing, uniquely advantageous, at least, at first glance, from being in a crypto ecosystem. And what? Okay, so now we have just one big, crypto marketplace that's attempting to, replace Amazon. No, not trying to create one centrally controlled crypto-enabled marketplace. Instead, let's take a look at the Lens protocol. If any of you are familiar with it, Lens is a decentralized social protocol that runs a sort of social layer on top of the Polygon blockchain that allows people to buy to create user profiles as NFTs, and then all of their posts and comments and likes are also construed in this social graph and then indexed by the Lens protocol. So then any developer can come along and build a social app using their underlying blockchain infrastructure and the underlying social graph that they're producing. Well, why does this relate to what we're doing? Well, we, in parallel with building this marketplace, are working with a group of shadowy, super coders who are building an e-commerce primitive protocol. And that e-commerce primitive protocol, I can't talk too much about, but we'll handle vendor profiles online or on chain in much the same way that Lens protocol does. A decentralized product catalog, which means that we don't have to maintain the databases for products, and trustless transaction settlement, which means that all that a front-end marketplace will have to do would integrate those payment services rather than having to build them themselves or to trust that they're integrating Stripe correctly, or so on and so forth. I won't talk anymore about what that project is, but if you want to pay attention to the developments in the Ethereum ecosystem, that project will demo at ETH Dubai in about a month from now. And so that's the team that we're working closely with and integrating. So the idea is that we build an e-commerce marketplace that has a lot of the data and social profiles stored on chain, so that we're not necessarily the only marketplace that can make use of these larger, superstructures or, this blockchain infrastructure. But more than that, we're building out a DAO system, a DAO to govern the marketplace and administer the marketplace. So not only are we replacing parts of the back-end physical infrastructure, the databases that Amazon would operate to maintain its product catalogs, as well as its user catalogs and everything like that. We're also building out a way to replace the corporate structure of Amazon and actually make decisions about how the marketplace should function. The guiding principle, and I am a DAO specialist, so this is actually my area of expertise. But the thing that we're trying to accomplish is to simplify the decision making of people who are administering, DAO, any sort of DAO related things. You don't want people to be making decisions that they aren't qualified to make. You want to be able to make work streams. You want to be able to focus people's decision making on the things that are actually relevant to them. And so there's only a few different genres of decisions that a DAO would actually have to make, and at various levels of consent. Marketplace fees, adding and removing judges from a dispute resolution system that we're also building out as part of the DAO structure, creating working groups, which again is giving budgets to teams of people who have a mandate to go and do a job, whether that's like development or marketing or vendor relations, so on and so forth. You can create budgets out of a DAO treasury in order to administer the business. And then the token incentive rates for various functions within the ecosystem. And that would be things like releasing escrow funds on time if you're a buyer, or delivering products on time if you're a seller, or leaving good reviews if you are a buyer, and we can attest to the fact that you bought a product from a vendor, which is something that we can do as a result of the primitive protocol. So we're rewarding good behavior within the ecosystem, And good behavior equals more power, because as a result of the good behavior, we're distributing more of the governance token, which means that buyers and sellers, judges, reviewers, and moderators who interact with the system in a way that continues to grow the ecosystem, and continues to make for a good marketplace where people are following the rules of commerce that have been set up by the DAO, end up with more power in deciding what are the rules of commerce, what products can be listed, what vendors should be kicked from the platform, for instance. Because again, it's not as though like banning people is always bad. Sometimes you have to ban bad actors, but you need that process to be transparent, and you need there to be accountability mechanisms for the people that are making those decisions. And so that's the DAO systems that we're building, right? Good behavior, more power in deciding these different simplified parameters for how the DAO functions. And so it's this whole idea of we're building a system where you can buy, sell, and own the system itself, where it's not a purely extractive model, not a purely extractive, centralized, monolithic model like Amazon, but something that allows more market participation, that allows more marketplaces to arise. So a little overview of what our roadmap looks like, and some simple diagrams to go along with it. Again, we should have something up by Friday, but we're looking for like a full launch of our site by May of 2024. That will involve us having, a fair amount of centralization. DAOs, as I say, are always moving from dictatorship to democracy. So when you're small and when you're building, you have to be nimble and be able to make decisions quickly. And when those systems are tested and ossified, then you want to start really, really losing power and decentralizing it from a central committee, and start rewarding people who are interacting in a good way. Then we'll start integrating the data protocolization and start testing out the DAO structures. And then by November of 2024, we hope to have simple DAO structures at both levels. So both the social layer as well as the individual marketplace layer. There's a lot of complication there that I'm sort of like hand waving over. But yeah, that's the sort of simple roadmap. We're not trying to be a central, one marketplace. We hope that many marketplaces actually arise, given the framework that we allow, that we build for them to build new marketplaces in new jurisdictions, servicing different products and different buyers, where people own their data and can leave and move to different marketplaces if they don't like the one that they're operating in. Because if we really want to kill the emperor, then it's not just one person, right? Like, we're all Spartacus in that. And so, yeah, come and join us. Hamza.biz is where our WordPress site, like our sort of beta test WordPress site, is up, and you can scan the QR code here and come and join us in our Discord, join our community calls, join our tokenomics session, which we have one on Friday as well. But yeah, we're developing in the open, and we would love for anybody to come along who's interested in the project.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bo. It's been a pleasure, to work with you. And we've been kind of a little bit on the I guess building quiet, but we're gonna be more active. And as far as I mentioned, chat, we're gonna, I think Handshake names are perfect to use for this, for e-commerce. I think the Web 2 really took off a lot with e-commerce, using e-commerce domains for your e-commerce store. So we're hopefully going to use that for usernames and storefronts and marketplaces too, as this develops. But yeah, thanks so much, Bo. We have another session, and the speaker already says he's got a lot to share. So, and but this was really great, and excited. He's in East London right now, representing at the hackathon in Pragma. So thanks for all you do, Bo, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Hey, thanks for having me on. And yeah, if you have any specific questions, feel free to jump in the Discord. I'm 0xbo on there. But yeah, thanks for listening, y'all.
Awesome. Thanks.